Welcome to the Cognizant Major League Cricket Draft. If you thought what we did at Major League Cricket in 2023 was big, wait till you see what we have in store in 2024. Guys, I'm so excited to be back here in the USA, live from the MLC studios. I'm Nikhil Uttamchandani. Alongside me is my correspondent, Aaman Patel. Aaman, how are you feeling, man? New year, new Major League.
Oh, man, it's going to be awesome. Again, you mentioned it, 2023, it was that first time you're getting the jitters out the way, but now 2024, we're into the nitty-gritty of it, and it's going to be an electrifying atmosphere here.
Well, the reason we're here, last night the 6 franchises were engaged in a domestic player draft. Everyone trying to just keep things fresh, get some new faces in. So let's explain to our viewers how that process actually works. Each team, in terms of their squad size, have to have a minimum of 9 domestic players, a maximum of 10. And every team must have their under-23 rookie. So some exposure for the younger players as well. You've got 5 minimum domestic players in that starting 11. And last night we saw 20 of those players picked up. Huge night for some individuals out of 125 players in that draft, Aaman.
Yeah, and those 125 players, they know what teams they're going to be going to because those teams, they have a set standard of what this order is going to be. Last year, we had it in the sense of it was going to be a random pool. This year, it's going to be off of the record. So LAKR, they're going to have that first pick, and it's going to go all the way down to MI New York. They'll have the last pick of that first round, and then it'll snake through within rounds. But teams now know, okay, I'm picking first, I'm picking second, I'm picking third, and it should be really fun with that, Nikhil.
Guys, I'm so excited to have you here. I implore you, do not move a muscle because on this show, we've got so much excitement. Interviews, some international signings, we'll hear from some coaches and team perspective, and we have a few surprises. Much more after the break.
It's a nice sunny day for cricket.
It's the time for the batsman, the 12th man, and the groundsman. The days of the know-it-all that don't know it all, and the come one, come all. An invitation to the run takers, the matchmakers, and the partnership breakers. It's the time for the many flavors of cricket and the many, many, many flavors it brings out in you. Royal, for the many flavors of you.
Business intuition. What if it could be engineered into every part of your business? Imagine if power grids could hear outages ahead of the storm. Health systems could see across the whole landscape. Airwaves could taste new speed limits. At Cognizant, we use technology to engineer businesses to do what others can't, anticipate expectations, and act instantly as if on intuition. Business intuition. What if it could be engineered into every part of your business? Imagine if banks could listen for telltale signs of fraud. Drug production could sniff out impurities. Cars could feel when your plans change. At Cognizant, we use technology to engineer businesses to do what others can't, anticipate expectations, and act instantly as if on intuition.
Yeah, welcome back to the Major League Cricket studios. But before we get to 2024 and what's going to be such an enterprising season, Aaman, we have to look back at 2023. And the one thing I was always curious about with the MLC was how would the domestic players suit up? How would they go when you have the internationals coming in? And it was fair to say a few stood out. Who were those standout players to you?
Yeah, that was the question, right? Everyone's wondering how are the domestics going to perform alongside some of those international names, and Corey Anderson made sure that the domestics were going to be great because straight away, that 90 that he hit against MI New York, he just blasted around the park and said, hey, the domestic players are here to play, some of the biggest sixes you have ever seen there. And then it was the USA national players stepping up too. Saurabh Netravalkar with the ball in hand from the left-hand side, I mean, was terrific against the San Francisco Unicorns, had a sixfer, and again, the swing that he extracted on those surfaces was incredible. And then don't forget about Cameron Gannon. He won the Bart King Award, for God's sake. I mean, he was terrific all season for the Seattle Orcas, a big reason why they were in that final, Nikhil.
Yeah, Gannon finished 11 wickets and second in the league in wicket takers, so it was great to see a domestic player right up there. But you look at the locals, you have to also talk about the internationals, because the names that the league sort of attracted last season, it's only going to get bigger from there. But a few really monumental performances. Heinrich Klaasen is one, first centurion in Major League Cricket history. The way that this guy is dominating world cricket, the acceleration, but also the consistency to go at that high of a clip and be so successful. We've seen him around the leagues, we've seen him in international cricket, and he's returning for the Orcas. He's going to be such an important member if they're to return to the final. And another man who joined him was Nicholas Pooran. Also got 137 in the final, smashed 11 sixes, and it's fair to say no one saw that coming. Just again, power, consistency in the power play, outside of the power play, and he was so integral in MI New York winning this competition. And when you look at the standings, what they had to do to, at one stage, many didn't expect them to make the playoffs. They battled from fourth, won 3 games straight, and in the end won the competition. It was just such a mesmerizing comeback. And I think the fans at home deserve to see a bit more into what went into that final. So, take it away.
On that magnificent trophy.
Done him. He's gone right through him. The magic of Rashid. It's off the edge. It'll go off to the boundary. And Quinton de Kock will go past a half century. That is sweet. Have some of this. Molly. Guess who? It's TV. We're all sitting on the edge of our seats here.
Got him! Imad Wasim in the power play. Now goes straight. Nicholas Pooran stamping his authority early.
It's a wide full toss. Nicky Pooran hits 100. What a performance from MI New York to win the inaugural title of MLC 2023.
Such a great story, that MI New York team. They'll be looking to repeat in season 2. It won't be easy, but time to get to 2024, and we're so excited to announce we've got our first team who have announced their picks in this Cognizant MLC draft. LA Knight Riders, you'll hear from them after the break.
It's a nice sunny day for Brigade.
It's the time for the batsman, the 12th man, and the groundsman. The days of the know-it-all that don't know it all, and the come one, come all. An invitation to the run-takers, the matchmakers, and the partnership breakers. It's the time for the many flavors of cricket and the many, many, many flavors it brings out in you. Royal, for the many flavors of you.
Business intuition. What if it could be engineered into every part of your business? Imagine if power grids could hear outages ahead of the storm. Health systems could see across the whole landscape. Airwaves could taste new speed limits. At Cognizant, we use technology to engineer businesses to do what others can't, anticipate expectations, and act instantly, as if on intuition. Business intuition. What if it could be engineered into every part of your business? Imagine if banks could listen for telltale signs of fraud. Drug production could sniff out impurities. cars could feel when your plans change. At Cognizant, we use technology to engineer businesses to do what others can't, anticipate expectations, and act instantly, as if on intuition.
Welcome back to the MLC draft. The LA Knight Riders finished last in 2023, so because of that, they had the ability to pick first. But before we get to their draft picks, let's take a look at who they retain in terms of their domestic and their international players. And you see that they've really kept the core together. They've got Ali Khan there, who's been in around their various franchises around the world. But that top order of Badar, Nitish Kumar, Unmukt Chan, all intact. And they've kept Shadi Van Schalkwyk, who's an option at the back end of the innings. But when you look at the internationals, Andre Russell, Jason Roy, they hit the second most sixes last season. They've retained power with them. But I'm looking at the spin duo of Sunil Narine, Adam Zampa, 13 wickets together as a pairing, and they were a handful for oppositions to deal with on the surfaces that we had in Dallas and North Carolina. And they've got Spencer Johnson, who we've seen really ramp up the pace. So these are their retentions. Some interesting experienced names here who they'll look to build and complement with their draft picks. Aaman, what did you think of the business they did in the draft?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. They have those retentions that they have, but there's some glaring holes. That wicketkeeper spot was a hole, and they addressed it right away. That #1 overall pick was going to be Aditya Ganesh to fill that role. They also go get back Cornet Dry to fill out some pace. Daron Davis, Matthew Trump, a couple of names that come in. Just a quick question. What do you think? Who are the guys that you think this draft really did well for when you talk about the Knight Riders?
Well, when I looked at LA last season, Aaman, I think the biggest standout was in the power play. And they were losing games early. They conceded a lot of runs with the ball, and they weren't scoring enough. They changed their opening combination a few times. So Aditya Ganesh plugs that because he can bat anywhere in the order from 1 to 4. And then the options that they brought in, Trump, Daron Davis, and Cornet Dry, all aggressive options. Daron Davis, someone who's played cricket with Sunil Narine, both from Trinidad and Tobago. He's also played in the CPL for the Knight Riders back in 2015 and the 19 World Cup for the West Indies. So he's experienced, and I think it was a surprise option, but one that definitely can complement the group that they have to be a lot more aggressive. So in the end, I think they'll be quite happy with the experience they brought in, and will look to go internationally in terms of some more picks that can bolster that squad.
Yeah, they didn't have that domestic spin option last year, so Daron Davis makes sense. You mentioned the power play, and then you're talking about Cornet Dry. I think getting him back was really the steal of the draft. They were getting him back in a later round, and again, him paired with Shadi Van Schalkwyk is going to be so very good for them because you mentioned it, aggressive, and that third pacer role is always someone that you try to fill in with the domestic. I think I don't know if there's many better names than Cornet Dry in the USA.
Right, time to get some reaction from the LA Knight Riders camp. They've had quite a busy draft, and who better to speak to than Ryan Tendaskade, their assistant coach, who actually joins us from the Knight Riders camp in India. Tendo, thanks so much for your time. We know you're busy, but speaking of busy, you guys were quite active in the draft last night. How did you see it? What's your reaction, and how happy are you?
Yeah, we're pretty happy. Obviously picked up 4 players today after releasing 5 players from the last list, and we feel we got what we wanted. It was pretty hard to judge guys on a very small sample of performances last year. But at the same time, we felt like we needed to make a few changes, and we feel like we've covered most of the positions off that we wanted to get done today.
Yeah, Ryan, you had either the burden, some would say, or the privilege of taking that #1 overall pick. Y'all ended up going Aditya Ganesh. Talk to me about that pick and what went into that process of selecting him.
It's the first time someone's shown a bit of sympathy. You think that the first pick is the way to go, but I kind of felt a bit like you after that first round, particularly chucking the bulk of the money at that first pick. But our thinking was that was going to be the most important to cover in the starting 11. and we didn't want to take any risks. We did a lot of research into Aditya, obviously someone who's played in India quite a bit, and we're pretty determined to get him and then sort of make up where we needed to further along the line. And getting that done first up was good, and then to pick Cornet Dry up at 20,000 was a real bonus for us as well. Jaskaran Malhotra, like I said, about a small sample. We really liked what we saw last year. We just wanted to change it up this year, and Aditya seemed the best out of the bunch based on our research and what we think we need this year.
And Tendo, just in terms of looking at last season, reflecting, just the one win for you guys, what area coming into 2024 is sort of the biggest focus of improvement for you as a team?
Like I said, I think judging guys on such a small sample, 2 venues where the wickets were quite different, and mainly introspectively looking at ourselves, we've thought the combination is probably more important than the personnel, and you can see that highlighted in the players who've kept. The guys who did start for us, we're pretty pleased with them, although their numbers wouldn't be up to their standards. We feel like the potential's there. So mainly from our side, it was changing the combination with the overseas picks, which you'll see later on in the month, I'm sure. And then just complementing the 1 or 2 guys who we think have got a lot of potential with 1 or 2 new faces that hopefully can drive the team forward to a slightly better level of performance this year.
All right, Tendo, really appreciate the time. We know you're quite a busy man, and good luck in the IPL as well, man.
Good luck, Ryan.
Cheers, guys. Nice to chat.
Cheers.
Well, from the team with the #1 overall pick, it's the team with the 2nd overall pick. It's the San Francisco Unicorns. They had a kind of a disappointing end to that 2023 season, but with their retentions, they kept most of this intact. I think domestically, it was very well done. When you talk about Corey Anderson, he was such a huge factor batting at #4, and then Liam Plunkett was great with the ball in hand. They kept that bowling unit intact domestically. They went to Carmine LaRue, who bowls from the left, Brody Couch, who I really like as a really young kid who comes in with a lot of pace, and then they kept Sanjay Krishnamurthy around, the young left-arm spinner, and he's only going to continue to grow. Internationally, they bring back Haris Rauf and Finn Allen, so that bowling group is there, but it's the batting, Nikhil, that's left to be desired from.
Yeah, well, Aaman, they'll look at this group, and I think they'll say almost they have 4 internationals to start. Corey Anderson, Liam Plunkett, maybe the 2 best domestic players in the country. When you look at Anderson, averaged close to 50 last year. Plunkett took 7 wickets, had an average of less than 20 apiece. But then they'll look, I think, to support Finn Allen at the top of the order with an international pick. And of course, we saw just the caliber of players that they brought in last season. They've got that Victorian connection. So really excited for what this group can do. They'll look to some of their struggles last season. They were expensive in the last 5. In the middle overs as well, lost their way with their captain, Aaron Finch. So I think new blood in this San Francisco Unicorns team. Is going to be an exciting season for them, and they'll be hungry for the playoffs. And we've got a very exciting announcement for you guys with Matthew Short being announced as their overseas player. Many will know that Short played for the Washington Freedom last year, scored over 150 runs in the 6 innings, was a standout. But since Major League Cricket, he has taken off, elevated his game. He's made his international debut for Australia, and he's also got that Victorian connection, so no surprises that they've opted for him. But he's striking at 175 in international cricket, 500 plus runs in the Big Bash, and he helps keep that strong opening pair intact alongside Finn Allen. So bolsters what already worked for them in season 1. And I think definitely, when you look at Short, he's a bowling option as well with his off spin.
No, he was so good for the Washington Freedom. Him and Andres House last season was terrific, right? So now you get to pair him with Finn Allen as 2 very explosive bats up top. And I think that's what that was one of their strong suits last year, was that they could really start the power play strong, both with bat and ball. And so that's what you want to continue to fill into. So I think Matthew Short is going to be so good for them, paired along with what they can do in this draft. And speaking of that draft, we're going to talk about what they did with that 2nd overall pick. It was Hassan Khan, which they went, which I really like. He bats in the middle. You mentioned their struggles in the middle. Bats in the middle at 181 in minor league cricket. That's going to be such a tactic for them. They also bring back Tajinder Singh, who is going to be so key for them. And then Kareem Agor, another spinning option. And then they go with Jamar Hamilton, the wicketkeeper. So they're going to bolster in that lower middle order, which struggled last year, Nikhil.
Yeah, I think when you look at their picks, Hassan Khan, many will know, played in the U19 World Cup in 2016 for Pakistan. He's played almost 30 PSL matches, so has the experience of being on the big stage. Really impressed with the way he can finish the innings, but a finger spin option. Their spin production was very low, and they had no one in the top 10 wicket takers last season. So I think he was someone that they were aggressively trying to pursue. And I love the picks of Kareem Agor, Jamar Hamilton late. 2 guys who I know well from the West Indies, but have that US affiliation and are very experienced and both do well on that big stage. So really excited to hear from them. And of course, one of them we'll hear a bit closer in terms of his thoughts on being involved in MLC 2024. Wicketkeeper batter Jamar Hamilton joins us. Jamar will be representing the San Francisco Unicorns this season in the Major League Cricket. Jamar, thanks so much for your time. How excited are you? Because obviously you're born in St. Thomas, which is a US Virgin Island. How excited are you to be playing cricket in the US of A come July?
I'm really excited. I've been playing in minor league before, so to just step up to the major league, where there are better cricketers and, guys from all over the world participating in the major league, it's just exciting.
Jamar, you've played cricket at the highest level. You've represented the West Indies at the test level. Why was it sort of a motivating factor for you to compete in a league like this?
As I say, to test your skills, there are a lot of good cricketers playing in the US now, and the bar has risen now in the Major League and also USA cricket. So it's all about playing in the highest level with a lot of high competitors.
And you'll also be playing this season with Kareem Agor, who is your current Leeward Islands teammate. Just describe the relationship between you two. How happy are you to have someone like KG, who I know you're very close with, on the team for what is a huge opportunity?
It's very exciting. I'm glad for him. Also, we've been training for the past few years together. We share our insights about each other's game. So it's all about building each other up as far as we go, and also having fun. So I'm glad that he's with me.
If you guys know Jamar Hamilton like I do, he is full of action. I can't wait to see you, brother, in the Major League Cricket 2024. We look forward to it. And we've heard from a couple of teams, but after the break, we'll hear from a few playoff contenders, Texas Super Kings and the Washington Freedom, both who made their selections.
It's a nice sunny day for cricket.
It's the time for the batsman, the 12th man, and the groundsman. The days of the know-it-all that don't know it all. And the come one, come all. An invitation to the run takers, the matchmakers, and the partnership breakers. It's the time for the many flavors of cricket and the many, many, many flavors it brings out in you. Royal, for the many flavors of you.
Business intuition. What if it could be engineered into every part of your business? Imagine if power grids could hear outages ahead of the storm. Health systems could see across the whole landscape. Airwaves could taste new speed limits. At Cognizant, we use technology to engineer businesses to do what others can't, anticipate expectations, and act instantly as if on intuition. Business intuition. What if it could be engineered into every part of your business? Imagine if banks could listen for telltale signs of fraud. Drug production could sniff out impurities. Cars could feel when your plans change. At Cognizant, we use technology to engineer businesses to do what others can't, anticipate expectations, and act instantly as if on intuition.
Welcome back to the Major League Cricket studios for what is this Cognizant MLC Cricket Draft. So excited to be doing this even bigger in 2024. I'm Nikhil Uttamchandani. Aaman Patel is alongside me. And Aaman, we've already looked at two teams, but another team who many thought were favorites was the Texas Super Kings. And I tell you, their fan base is unbelievable to see the amount of yellow, the whistles in Dallas. It was amazing. I hope you guys come out for the 2024 season. What did you think about their retained players, first of all?
Well, I know they love the whistles. In fact, everyone sitting in that little section of the stadium, they're all whistling. But with that retained roster, I thought it was really interesting what they did, because you talk about Calvin Savage coming back, but they let go of Rusty Theron, that first-round pick. They bring back Milind Kumar, who gives them a nice little spin option and bat in the middle. Cam Stevenson, who I think could kind of fill in for Rusty in that opening bowling spot. And then you have Zia Shahzad, Saiteji Mukamala, Muhammad Mohsin, who really was a surprise of the draft last year, coming in as a wild card selection with the leg spin, and then Zia-ul Haq as well. So he was someone who kind of played a couple of games as that third pacer. And they bring back the fave Faf du Plessis. He was the captain last year, Mitchell Santner, and Devin Conway. So they keep what's up at top. They keep the spinner going. But I really like what they did here. They kept all their main roles, and now it just seems like they're going to look to kind of just fill in specialist ways.
Yeah, I want people at home to realize this team finished second last season, really without Faf or Devin Conway and their contributions. Their opening pair with those two averaged 9. It was the lowest in the tournament. And I don't think, and we've all seen how brilliant those two are, I expect them to be a lot better in 2024. Just imagine adding that to the internationals that they bring in, to the strong domestic core that they have. So you've got some really exciting factors to work with from a Texas perspective. Those fans in Dallas are going to be happy. But when you look at the internationals, again, more exciting news for you, because we have a huge announcement. It's Daryl Mitchell, the New Zealand top order batter. He's going to be in the yellow for the first time, playing for the Texas Super Kings in 2024. And what a calendar year he's had. Over 500 runs at the Cricket World Cup. He just played in recent T20 International Series against Pakistan, got a couple of half centuries. He's explosive. And one of the problems they had in the losses last season, their power play batting. So he's someone that will come in, bat at 4, can take you apart in all 3 phases of the game. I'm extremely excited about this pickup. I think this man is next level when it comes to white ball batting.
Oh, he's terrific. And again, it now shows you, because they have a full, really domestic roster, they only have 2 draft picks. It's going to be about their international signings. But we mentioned those 2 draft picks. Who did they take? Well, again, last year, they had the biggest steal in the draft in Muhammad Mohsin. I think they had the biggest surprise in the draft this year, taking Joshua Trump with that 3rd overall selection in the first round. The young man, he had an explosive minor league this year. I don't think many expected him to go that high. And then they also take Raj Anand, so they want to get another spinner in there to add to their collection of Mohsin and Zia Shahzad. So I was only 2 picks, so you're not going to have a huge people to look at, but Joshua Trump, what a splash that is.
Yeah, I think even Cameron Stevenson is another person who left the tournament last year with injury. A fast bowling option because they don't have Rusty Theron this season. But I love the Trump pickup. 360-degree player, extremely talented, really exciting prospect. And Raj Anand from Guyana, someone who I think offers them options. Left arm spin, very good in the power play bowling wise, and can finish the innings as well.
Absolutely. I really like what they did in this domestic draft.
Well, Major League Cricket, all about exciting stories. And last night we had a big one. Joshua Trump, 18 years old, was not featured in season 1. But last night got picked in the very first round going to the Texas Super Kings. And he's joining us right now. Josh, great to have you. Thanks so much for joining us. Just tell us the emotion. What was the excitement like when you found out that you were picked to Texas and in that round as well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a kind of a shock to me. I wasn't expecting a first round, but yeah, I mean, I was really happy. I put a lot of hard work into my game over the past year. So yeah, just knowing that the hard work paid off, kind of in a way. But yeah, I mean, I was so happy. Me and my family were up late last night and we got a text letting me know that I was picked in the first round. I mean, yeah, I was kind of shaking. I was so excited. But yeah, obviously this is just the start. So yeah.
And last year in an interview after that initial draft, you mentioned you're going to use this year, the rest of the year, minor league, etc., to show them that you would be picked in a season later, and you lived up to your expectations. How much did that motivate you, Josh, not being selected in season 1?
Yeah, for sure. I think especially seeing my brother getting picked, obviously I was happy for him, but it was also disappointing because like you want to do well and you want to be there with your brother as well. So I think that really fueled me to go out there and try show the selectors what they're missing out on. And yeah, I think I was going into this year, I was really hopeful to have a good season. I knew that I was good enough, and I knew that I was able to go out there and perform. It was just a case of actually going out and doing it. So yeah.
Yeah, Josh, you mentioned you went out there and did it, but you also mentioned your brother Matthew last year got picked, but this year you're picked at the 75K slot. So there's got to be a little bit of banter there now. You got to have that little bit of sibling rivalry with him going on.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely gonna be having a bit of banter with him in the car driving to cricket practice and everything, telling him that, oh no, you must throw to me first. But yeah, and I mean, we still like best friends, and I don't think any draft pick would change that. So yeah.
Oh, we're so excited for you, man. Looking forward to seeing you on the field and in that yellow. And wish you all the best from now until July. See you soon.
Good luck, Josh.
Thank you, guys. Cheers. Bye.
Well, when you look at the Washington Freedom, a team that I think will be a bit disappointed as to how their first season went. They finished third in the group stages, won 3 games out of the 5 matches, so they were impressive in those group fixtures. But the biggest thing of them was their standout domestic players. Guys like Saurabh Netravalkar contributing with 6 wickets in 1 game. Andreas House, who they've retained, continues to enhance himself around the world in the various leagues. Jacob Ospina, our handy all-round option. Justin Dill and Akhilesh Badogam were backups last year who could have a bigger role to play. But they were the best power play bowling team because of Netravalkar and Akil Hossain, who they've both retained. Marco Jansen continues to be a world-class all-rounder in all 3 facets of the game. Aaman, Patel, what do you think about their list of retained?
Yeah, I love their domestics from last season, right? I thought it was one of the strongest groups of domestics coming into 2023, and I still think that stands in 2024. Andreas House, you mentioned, has just been on a tear. He scored 90-odd in the Abu Dhabi T10 League earlier this year. And then you talk about Obis Pinar. I think he had a couple of huge sixes late in games. I think him with the ball is going to be a real factor. I would like to see him get some more chances early. And again, Saurabh is just so good. We mentioned the 6 he took against the San Francisco Unicorns already earlier this year. And Justin Dill, I think he had that last game against Texas, and I think he can be someone who, if can find a rhythm, can really be an impactful 3rd or 4th pacer. And this team also does it with the bat in minor league cricket. So I like what this domestic roster looks like. But when we talk about the picks that they made, again, it's just about enhancing these. And when they made these picks, it was about enhancing and getting backups for players. So we talk about the picks they made. We talk about the likes of Ian Holland. I thought that pick was terrific. Ian Holland, someone who wasn't in the league in 2023, but he is someone who's represented the USA, has an economy of 3.9 internationally. That's terrific in that regard. And then they were able to pick up a key spinner in Emilio Ponzo with losing Dane Pete, needing just another option domestically, and then Lahidu Malanta really goes like for like with Andres House if there's ever an injury. He's the guy you go to. And then Yasser Mohammed. I love that as a leg spinner, the young leg spinner. Nikhil, what do you think about this draft?
Yeah, I think I'm not surprised to see them go so hard at the spinners because they only had 11 wickets from their spinners last season. So Alponzo helps. Yasser Mohammed is a good prospect. Ian Holland, I really like. A wicket in every international he's played for the USA. He's got experience in the T20 Blast for Hampshire. So I really think they did some smart business, especially where they picked these players and who they were able to get to maximize that budget. So definitely excited to see how this team comes back. But in terms of 2 players I want to focus on, it's their internationals. Marco Jansen, Akil Hossain. You've got these 2 guys who right now in the world are in the top 3 wicket takers in T20 cricket in 2024. Jansen has done extremely well in South Africa, Akil Hossain in the various leagues. I think after the World Cup, both representing international sides, by the time they come in for this Freedom side, they'll be both firing. And their batting, I think, gives the Freedom a lot of depth because they're underrated options with bat in hand, especially Jansen. So I'm so excited to see the other internationals they put around them. But those 2 for me are a very strong start and very strong core to have with their domestics. Well, that's a player perspective. Earlier, we spoke to general manager of this Washington Freedom side, who was very excited, by the way, Michael Klinger.
Good, man. Thanks a lot for your time. Great to see you again. Fresh from the draft. I know there was a lot going into it, a lot of anticipation building into season 2. How are you feeling about the team?
Yeah, we were really happy with the draft, to be honest. There's probably one player we were looking at at the top level. We, with the money we had left, we could go in at round 3 at the earliest. So if there was one player available, then we probably would have gone in at 60K. But given that player had gone, we were really the main reason we were going to try to get all the skill sets that we needed to fill our squad, and we were really happy with the way it went. We got exactly what we were after. And yeah, it was a little bit, there's a bit of stress there, not knowing if players are going to slip through to the next round or not, but it worked out really well for us.
Last season was year 1. What was the thing that you enjoyed the most that you're looking forward to seeing carry over into the second season where we expect things to be a lot bigger?
Yeah, to be honest, 2 things. One, the product. I thought last year, MLC in such a short time did a fantastic job to get everything up and running. The wickets were good, the grounds were good, and that created really good cricket. The best players in the world want to keep coming back because of that. So first of all, congratulations to Major League Cricket and those involved for producing that. And you'll see this year, no doubt, even more of the better players in the world are wanting to come and play. So that's really exciting. The second one was just the crowds. I think we were probably a little, pleasantly surprised how many people came to the games. I think it was, over 80% of the matches were fully sold out, both in Dallas and Morrisville. So, wherever the games end up being this year, it's going to be, really exciting to, one, see the quality of cricket, but also see the big crowds turning up to watch.
Excellent to hear, as always, from the veteran Michael Klinger. Great to have him on board in this Major League Cricket draft. Guys, we're down to just 2 teams. It's the finals matchup, Seattle Orcas and the MI New York side. And after the break, we'll find out who they selected in this year's draft.
It's a nice sunny day for Brigade.
It's the time for the batsman, the 12th man, and the groundsman. The days of the know-it-all that don't know it all, and the come one, come all. An invitation to the run takers, the matchmakers, and the partnership breakers. It's the time for the many flavors of cricket and the many, many, many flavors it brings out in you. Royal, for the many flavors of you.
Business intuition. What if it could be engineered into every part of your business? Imagine if power grids could hear outages ahead of the storm. Health systems could see across the whole landscape. Airwaves could taste new speed limits. At Cognizant, we use technology to engineer businesses to do what others can't, anticipate expectations, and act instantly, as if on intuition. Business intuition. What if it could be engineered into every part of your business? Imagine if banks could listen for telltale signs of fraud. Drug production could sniff out impurities. Cars could feel when your plans change. At Cognizant, we use technology to engineer businesses to do what others can't, anticipate expectations, and act instantly, as if on intuition.
Welcome back. Glad you're still with us because these next 2 teams, they don't play. Runners-up in 2023, the Seattle Orcas, and they were by far the best team in the group stages, won 4 of their matches out of the 5, and really, you thought they were favourites when you looked after those group stages, lost in the final in the end. But when you look at the retained players that they've got, the key thing is internationally, they've kept their best performing overseas players, and then they've got one of the strongest domestic cores, Cameron Gannon, second leading wicket taker in the tournament, Ranjani with his all-round ability, Harmeet Singh, who formed such a formidable duo with Imad Wasim last year. The two of them took 17 wickets, the most wickets of any team by their spinners, and they've got one of the best opening partnerships in Quinton de Kock and Norman Anwar. So very strong when you look at this team who will be looking to replicate their performances. Aaman, what stands out to you about the Orcas?
Yeah, they did exactly what they needed to do domestically. They kept everyone who fills that role. We talked about the fact that we have Norman Anwar opening the batting and then Shehan Jayasuriya who can come in at the one-down spot. Harmeet Singh would form the trot in back-to-back-to-back games. I mean, they just let him bowl, and he was terrific, and he can add a little bit with the bat as well. And again, I really like what they did. They just made sure they were going to keep that core intact, and now you just have to go and get guys that are depth, that are bench roles. So I really love what they did with this domestic round.
Yeah, and then of course they had the draft. What did you see in terms of the way they analyzed their picks?
Yeah, again, we mentioned it's going to be all about getting depth. And so that's what they did. Straight away, when you talk about Hamad Azam available, he feels like a Shivam Ranjane depth role, right? Someone who could come in with the bat, finish games off, and give you an over or two when you need it. And then Ali Sheikh, he's another one of those left-arm spinners, one of the most exciting young talents in the USA because, again, he's already represented the USA. He was a three-facet player and, again, outside the rookie round for back-to-back years for young Ali Sheikh. And then you talk about Ayan Desai, who they got in the rookie round. This is a left-armer who just took minor league cricket by storm, was the minor league emerging player of the week several times. So I really like what they did in that. So, again, it's just developing depth, and that's what they needed to do, and they did it.
Yeah, and one thing when I looked at that team, and they were very strong, but there were a few needs. When they lost games last season in the playoffs, the seamers went at over 10 runs and over. So Hamad Azam, with his all-round ability, he's rehabbing from that shoulder injury. I think he's bowling a lot more now. He offers some support. I think lengthens that batting lineup as well, and they've got cover in Ali Sheikh. They've got cover in Ayan Desai. One thing I'm looking at, though, can they get a spinner who turns the ball the other way? You've got the two left-arm spinners. I think they need someone who maybe spins it away from the left-hander. I've got exciting news for you guys because they have gone and got someone who does spin the ball the other way, and that's Michael Bracewell, the all-rounder from New Zealand. This guy's got a T20 100, and with the ball, he averages 18 apiece with his wickets. Just phenomenal talent to have in the Major League Cricket this year. So there they have that variation with the spin, and he can be explosive with bat in hand.
Oh, I mean, you mentioned it, that T20 100, and then is able to get huge amounts of turn. I think when he first popped onto the scene, everyone's like, oh my God, who is this guy? Because you talk about Mitchell Santner, part of that team, and then you bring in this part for New Zealand, and now he can be the same kind of partnership when you have the two spinners moving it away. Now all of a sudden the ball's coming back at you, really 90 degrees the way he turns the ball, Nikhil.
Right, well, that's a player perspective. I want to get some insight, though, into the thinking behind that administration and their team for that draft. And we've got Ross Taylor all the way from New Zealand joining us. Ross, thanks so much for your time. I know the time difference can be quite difficult and challenging, but great to see you last year. Great to see your involvement this year again. How did you sort of think your draft went last night?
Yeah, I mean, I think with our retentions, we had a few players in mind, and you don't really know how drafts are going to work. But no, I think we're very happy. We wanted to go for, 3 or 4 players that we really wanted, and we got 3 of them.
I have to ask you about your fellow black cap who we just announced, Michael Bracewell, joining you guys. All-rounder, explosive. What do you think is some of the main attributes he offers your team?
Yeah, I think obviously his international experience, and last year we didn't have anyone. We didn't have an off spinner to go to when left-handers were attacking us. I think he obviously brings that experience with his off spin and his power hitting.
And I have to ask you, Ross, just from an enjoyment perspective, season 1 was big, but we expect things to be a lot bigger this year. What's the one thing that excited you the most from season 1 that you're hoping to see carry over into 2024?
I think it's just the public and the way they got in behind it. I think, going to different parts of the world, being able to play cricket and a lot of, amazing places, but to go into the States, to go to Dallas, to go to Carolina, and the way it was supported. Hopefully we can continue to build on what has been a fantastic tournament, and I'm sure season 2 of MLCs is going to be even better and obviously bigger.
MI New York, what a team. Honestly, when you look at the adversity they faced, lost games early in the tournament, finished 4th in the group stages, lost their captain, Kyron Pollard, who went down with injury. But the main thing was how they rebounded. And this is a team that wherever they go around the world, they carry a legacy, and they showed it in the first season of Major League Cricket, from 4th to 1st, led by their captain Nicholas Pooran. And also what they've done with their retained players is retain much of that core, which you expect from a winning team. What do you think, Aaman?
Yeah, absolutely. Nicholas Pooran had that unbelievable century in the final, but it was not conjugated to me. That was a spark plug domestically, and they brought him back. And they brought back, again, a lot of that core. Stephen Taylor from the left, maybe USA's best domestic product in the last 100 years. Ehsan Adil, he comes in with ball in hand, is going to be great. Again, we mentioned Nash. Monang Patel, the USA captain, and Shahin Jahangir. And that's the area I'm going to look at. Jahangir played well opening the batting. I think between Monang and Steven is going to be an interesting question. Who's going to be the guy that goes up top? And then, again, they just carry that bag of international players around the world, Nikhil.
Yeah, I'm looking at Pooran and Tim David. They hit 50 sixes together. 50 out of 79 sixes were hit by the two of them. They've got those two back. Rashid Khan went at less than 4 runs and over in the power play. I'm not making up these stats. This is how dominant these guys were. So the fact that you've got 3 world-class T20 players and you complement them with guys like Trent Bolt, the leading wicket taker, Kaikiso Rabada, I don't see how you make this team any stronger. But I have news for you, because they've added 2 international players who we're both going to announce today. The first one is Romario Shepherd, who helps them in their death bowling. It's the one area that they struggled with last season. They went at close to 11 runs and over in the last 5. They've got Shepherd in, a very smart acquisition, someone who bowls in those pressure situations for the West Indies, but is enhancing that wide Yorker, slower delivery, a few different types of slower delivery as well. So really excited with that seam option. We all know his power with bat in hand as well. So I think no-brainer when it came to adding him if they had the chance, and I think he bolsters their bowling lineup even more. How are they going to pick 5, 6 internationals? I don't know.
Well, the struggle just keeps going because they brought in Anurag Nortje from the Washington Freedom, Nikhil. They just keep coming back with these internationals, and Anurag Nortje bowling plus 150. I mean, he's going to be explosive as well. So they have 4 really quality seam options to choose from.
Nortje, rapid. And good luck facing him. I don't know how the Freedom have let him go, but MI New York, good, smart business. Right, their draft picks. Well, they've done some business. They had to coming into the draft. They've gone with Ruben Clinton, who they picked quite high in that 65,000 round. He's a 25-year-old opener. Helps with that opening combination because they tried 4 different pairs last year. He also bowls a bit of off-spin, so he can be an option. They've also gone Heath Richards, who is a hit-the-deck type bowler, 23 years old, lives in the U.S., grew up in South Africa. Excited to see him. And then Rushil Ugarkar for their rookie pick, another young left-arm seamer. So I like the business that they've done, but especially those 2 overseas names who are living in the U.S., you don't know what they can bring. It's X factor.
Absolutely. And again, back to Ruben Clinton in this draft. They're young, right? It's a very young core. And Ruben Clinton feels almost like a Stephen Taylor type of substitute. Can bowl that little bit of off spin that Stephen Taylor does. Not to his level, but Ruben Clinton was in minor league for 1 year, right? Played for the SoCal Lashings this past season, and he was phenomenal for them. And I thought Rushil Ugarkar in the playoffs for the Dallas Mustangs was really impressive in minor league cricket. Took a fifer. So they got some really good young pieces to add to this core.
And speaking of those younger players, among that younger core in that MI New York team, let's hear from one of them now. We've got Ruben Clinton joining us, who was their 2nd pick, MI New York. Ruben, I know you must be excited, man. Welcome to Major League Cricket. Tell us, where were you when you got the news that you'll be representing this franchise?
Thank you, boys. Thank you for having me. Yeah, wild story. So I'd actually been feeling sick just about all day, waiting to hear, if I'd got a gig. So I actually went to the gym with my best friend, and I told him, I was like, geez, I don't know how good this gym session is going to be, but this is like what's going on. And as I said it, I got the text, and I've got butterflies now thinking about it. So I just was in shock, showed him the phone, and literally we just carried on like absolute idiots in the gym for about 5 minutes. And then, got back to work.
Ruben, you've played some cricket here in the US. You're born here, you grew up in New Zealand, also lived in South Africa. How does cricket in the United States differ to some of those other international territories?
Yeah, so I've been really fortunate to sort of like play at a few places now. And I think the amazing thing about America is that it's just, they're so keen, they're so hungry to play, which is just amazing. I think the environment, like, yes, it's still very raw and new, and when I say tell people that I'm playing cricket in America, they sort of look at me a bit funny. But when you're over there and in that culture, I think it's amazing. Like, the standard's fantastic. The young players that are coming through is fantastic. So I think it's got a very, very bright future. And I'm looking forward to being part of it for another hopefully 10 years at least.
And just quickly, one player, Emma in New York, you're most looking forward to playing with?
Oh, geez. I mean, looking at their cohort is pretty amazing. I actually played club cricket with Trent Boult. So it's going to be good to catch up with him. I think learning from someone like Nicholas Puran as like a left-hander is going to be absolutely wild. So yeah, I'd say Nicky P would be pretty cool. But yeah, looking forward to getting back around Trent Boult as well.
Absolutely buzzing for you, man. Really happy for you. Congratulations. And we can't wait to welcome you to Major League Cricket in July. Look forward to seeing you then.
No, thank you, gents. Really appreciate it.
Just like that, teams are locked in. Draft picks also locked in. We're all set and ready to go for 2024. But first, before we talk 2024, let's hear a special message all the way from New Zealand. It's Michael Bracewell, who will represent the Seattle Orcas.
Very excited to be part of the Seattle Orca family for MLC Season 2. Looking forward to playing in the USA. See you all at the ground soon.
Daddy got back. It's a nice sunny day for the cricket.
It's the time for the batsman, the 12th man, and the groundsman. The days of the know-it-all that don't know it all, and the come one, come all. An invitation to the run takers, the matchmakers, and the partnership breakers. It's the time for the many flavors of cricket and the many, many, many flavors it brings out in you. Royal, for the many flavors of you.
Business intuition. What if it could be engineered into every part of your business? Imagine if power grids could hear outages ahead of the storm. Health systems could see across the whole landscape. Airwaves could taste new speed limits. At Cognizant, we use technology to engineer businesses to do what others can't, anticipate expectations, and act instantly, as if on intuition. Business intuition. What if it could be engineered into every part of your business? Imagine if banks could listen for telltale signs of fraud. Drug production could sniff out impurities. Cars could feel when your plans change. At Cognizant, we use technology to engineer businesses to do what others can't, anticipate expectations, and act instantly, as if on intuition.
Welcome back to the MLC studios for the final time. Nikhil Uttamchandani alongside Aaman Patel. All 6 teams have locked in their draft picks, and boy was that a process. We had a few surprises, some younger players getting that exposure, and a few veterans with their experience as well. It's now up to the teams to announce their international picks. But Aaman, who was your favorite pick in that entire process?
Well, I can't narrow it down to one, Nico, so I'll give you 2. As a USA Cricket fan, I love the Ian Holland pick. USA Cricket fans have been screaming for him to be back playing in the USA or in USA colors for years, so to see him in Major League Cricket is huge. And then how can you not love the story of Joshua Trump? Here's an 18-year-old kid who gets picked up in the first round, and he's in there alongside his brother. I love that story there.
The amazing thing about that, there's a picture with him and his brother and his dad. His brother played last year, Matthew Trump. Joshua watched from the stands. A season later, he's on 75K. His brother's on just 5. So share, Josh.
Don't remind Matthew that, man.
But look, my pick, I'm going with Hassan Khan. Pakistan left-arm spinner. Just the all-round ability he has, I think he fills a void that was much needed for the Unicorns. He has that under-19 World Cup experience where he played with Shadab Khan back in 2016. I think he can take them to the next level, and they'll certainly not only be challenging for the playoffs. If they can get a few high-quality internationals in, they could easily be a title contender. So much to look forward to from their camp. Smart business with Kareem Magor, Jamar Hamilton as well. I think they're really looking strong going into this second season. But what about the second season itself? 2024 promises to be a huge year for this league. We saw what happened in 2023. I want to talk to the fans especially because it was all up to you guys. We didn't know what to expect coming into the tournament, but the energy, the love, the vibe, the passion you guys brought, it was sensational. And I think if we can get more of that in 2024, in Dallas, in Morrisville, I think certainly this league is going to go to the next level. We have the World Cup, and then we go to Major League Cricket. It's going to be massive. Aaman, what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, you mentioned it, the vibe, and I think it attracts new fans too. Every stadium was just packed, sold out, and it was terrific to see that. So that's what I'm looking forward to, the music, the atmosphere. When six is getting hit, everyone's blowing the whistles, screaming, and you got new fans who are loving the game as well. So the vibe is what we're looking forward to in 2024.
Major League Cricket is all about you at home. We need you to make this product possible, and I can't wait to see each and every one of you in some way in 2024 July. And as I said before, if you thought what we did in 2023 was big, wait till you see what we have in store in 2024.
It's the time for the batsman, the 12th man, and the groundsman. The days of the know-it-all that don't know it all, and the come one, come all. An invitation to the run-takers, the matchmakers, and the partnership breakers. It's the time for the many flavors of cricket, and the many, many, many flavors it brings out in you. Royal, for the many flavors of you.
Business intuition. What if it could be engineered into every part of your business? Imagine if power grids could hear outages ahead of the storm. Health systems could see across the whole landscape. Airwaves could taste new speed limits. At Cognizant, we use technology to engineer businesses to do what others can't, anticipate expectations, and act instantly as if on intuition. Business intuition. What if it could be engineered into every part of your business? Imagine if banks could listen for telltale signs of fraud. Drug production could sniff out impurities. Cars could feel when your plans change. At Cognizant, we use technology to engineer businesses to do what others can't, anticipate expectations, and act instantly as if on intuition.